What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back to give you the breakdown for UFC Vegas 106, but we also had some big fight announcements not too long ago, maybe less than an hour ago. Dana White got on IG Live, gave us 2 title fights, actually 3 title fights. Pretty much expected. Not a lot of shock, but more so just the fact that it's actually happening. You know, Islam Makhachev moving up to 170, running away from Topuria. Crazy stuff there. Topuria, Oliveira, lightweight bout, lightweight championship, actually. I mean, it says lightweight bout, but lightweight championship because the belt has been vacated. Pantoja, Kara France, same card. That is International Fight Week. Duplessis versus Chimaev in Chicago in August. UFC 319. Also on UFC 317 is the rebooking of Beneil Dariush and Money Moicano. And we have Shara Bullet versus Marc-Andre Barrios. Shara Bullet making his return against Marc-Andre Barrios, who just fought on Saturday. Big swing right there. I can't believe this is actually happening, boys. Well, actually, I can believe it because, I mean, we kind of saw it coming. But it's also like, come on, bro. We really needed Ilya versus Islam. We really did. We really did. I don't know how much you guys want to talk about that because this is the breakdown for UFC Vegas 106, but it is major news. So we'll see what the chat wants to, they want to talk about it or not. Let's hit the chat up. Top 2 row by sub. Possibly. What up, John? How we doing? Dana's cooking up this summer. He needs to give us Jones versus Aspinall. If we couldn't get Ilya versus Islam, we at least have to get Jones versus Aspinall. Okay? At least give us that. Who wins, Ilya or Oliveira? And thank you for JDM. You're welcome for the JDM bet. I believe Ilya Topuria beats everyone on planet Earth that can make 145 or 155. If they gave him Islam Makhachev, I would have been on Ilya Topuria. I mean, Charles has been there and done that. Maybe this could be his Volkanovski story where the belt gets vacated. He's already had the belt before. He comes back and he beats the up-and-coming guy, but Topuria is already a champion, bro. But Topuria just knocked out 2 of the best featherweights to ever do it. And he's going up to 155 where, Charles has had his struggles with, good power punchers with getting hit. And Ilya is just that. Firefights, hell yeah. Where are we sitting for UFC Chirac? I mean, I'm definitely going to go to Chicago for that because I wanted to go to Duplessis versus Chimaev. That was like one of the main fights I wanted to go to because my boy Duplessis has made me so much money. I deserve to go see him in person. I did see him in person before. I saw him beat Robert Whittaker, but I haven't seen him in his title fights, and I got to go see it, bro. I got to go see it for myself. The decision parlay, 2-3. Lee wants to gas after 3 minutes of round 1. Oh, talking about Jung Young Lee. Yeah, that was brutal. Brutal. First time catching you live. Well, welcome in. Champ has a name. Oliveira is back. At least whoever wins that fight, I could feel good about it, man. I could feel good about it. I love both fighters, but I also hate to see one guy lose. Let's go. Hey, John, how we doing? Big DDP and still. August 16th. DDP and still takes out Chimaev, hands him his first L of his career. UFC 319 will be my first event. Let's go. I'm in Chicago. I'm glad that they came back to the Midwest with a pay-per-view because those fight nights were At least we get a solid pay-per-view. We'll see how that card stacks up. Jones versus Aspinall. Please give me it, bro. Dana's obviously stalling regarding Jones Aspinall. He would have announced it by now if it was done. 100% he's stalling. Ilya in under 2.5 rounds. The under 2.5 is probably a decent bet, but title fights in 2025 have been going to decision like at an alarming rate. Corey did smack her parlay. Yeah. There's a clip up on Long Shots Only show. Plus 1,600. Nice hit for Corey. Very sharp. She's been very, very sharp. She hit that parlay. She hit Rainer de Ritter the week before that. Ilya KO in round 1 or 2 for me. Could see that. Would you consider Oliveira beating the biggest upset of 2025, or where would that put Oliveira on your lightweight ranking? You're beating Ilya? You're saying if Oliveira beats Ilya, I don't think that's like the hugest upset by any means. I don't expect Ilya to be like a massive favorite. I mean, probably be like minus 250, minus 300 or something like that. Minus 250 sounds more about what it would be. Maybe they do have odds on these. Maybe not. They got Duplessis at plus 205. Wow. That's crazy. They don't have odds yet for Topuria and Oliveira. Bro, what the fuck? Tell me how this makes sense. I got to share this. I got to put this on screen. Maybe I got to zoom this in a little bit. You might be hard to see. Tell me how this makes sense. Leon Edwards is plus 190 to Khamzat Chimaev. Rodriguez Duplessis is plus 205. Tell me how that makes sense. Okay, that makes absolutely zero sense. Probably just for the fact that this was a line that was made a long time ago, and it's just a fight that's never going to happen, so they haven't adjusted it. But that makes no sense whatsoever. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Let's pick up with the chats. We're going to let some people get in here before we start breaking down the card. We'll talk as much about the fights that got announced if you guys want. Been to the 2 fluke / weird endings this card this year. If Chicago ends the same fluke way, I know I'm cursed. Ooh. So Seattle was the eye poke, and then Iowa was the knee injury. Yeah, let's hope not. We all know Charles is going to be flat on that canvas. Yeah. Don't you think Ali did Islam a disservice? He tweeted he was in camp. He could have did the Ilya fight. Biggest fight they can make. Instead, he's going to be put on ice till JDM is ready. Dude, I don't know why. Well, I don't know how to put this. Belal losing to JDM was like, it was the best case scenario for the UFC, because if Belal beats JDM, Belal is still champion. They lose an up-and-coming guy. And Ilya, Charles, and Islam are all in the same weight class. Now, that's good, but for a company that needs title fights once a month, they need big names in every weight class. So for Belal to lose allowed Islam to comfortably move up to 170. So now they have Islam, who is a massive star in the UFC, at 170, a weight class that did not have some massive superstar champion. And they still have Ilia Topuria at 155 and Charles Oliveira at 155. So they basically just moved a superstar from 155 to 170. So that was the best case scenario for the UFC. It sucks, though, because Ilya versus Islam is the once-in-a-lifetime fight. The once-in-a-lifetime fight. And I don't know why Ilya or why Islam just all of a sudden was like, I need to go to 170. It started to feel like once Ilia Topuria said he was vacating the 145 title and he was moving up to 155, he's not even messing with 145 anymore. He literally said, I'm done with 145. I'm vacating the belt. I'm going to 155 because I want to fight Islam and I want to be the champion at 155. And then all of a sudden, Islam Makhachev says, yeah, I need to go to 170, man. You know, I know I've been kind of flirting with it a little bit, but I got to go to 170. So we got to hope Belal loses this. All of a sudden, like, let's just think about this, right? His run at 155. He beat Volkanovski twice. He beat Charles Oliveira. He beat Dustin Poirier. And he beat Renato Moicano. His last win was a defense over Renato Moicano on 24 hours notice. To me, that doesn't really look like, yeah, my legacy at 155 is cemented. I need to push myself more and fight at 170. To me, that's not really what it seems like. It seems like, you still have Arman Tsarukyan that you were supposed to fight and could still fight. You have Ilia Topuria, then the undefeated champion of 145, who just knocked out two of the best of all time, wants to come up to 55 and challenge you. And you're like, nah, I'm going to move up to 170 because a win over Renato Moicano on 24 hours notice cements my legacy at 155. It just screams, I don't want to fight at 155 anymore because I don't want to fight Ilia Topuria. That's just what it screams, man. That's what it looks like. All this stuff about going up to 170 only really came into play once Ilia said, I'm done with 145. I'm moving up to 155. That was when Islam got really serious about moving up to 170. He's like, I don't want to fight this guy. Let's just move up to 170. I hope it doesn't work out for him. I hope Islam loses to JDM, and then he's in the spot where he doesn't have his 155 belt anymore, and then he's just got to fight amongst the contenders of 170, and if he goes back down to 155, Ilia Topuria is holding that belt, and he's like, yeah, you want to come fight it? You want to come back down to 155 and fight me? That would just be hilarious. Just think about the irony in that. Islam moves up to 170, loses to JDM, Ilia becomes the 155-pound champion, and now Islam's like, man, I guess I'm, fighting at 170 is a lot different than fighting at 155. Maybe I got to go back down to 155, and then Ilia is the guy with the belt. Then what happens? That would just be so amazing to see. Somebody's got to agree with me, bro. Like the irony in that would be amazing. How you feeling about Gilbert Juliana Pena parlay? If you parlay in plus 500 dogs, just not it, bro. Islam can't be a weight bully at 170, so I'm pumped to see how he does against JDM. Yeah, I mean, 15 pounds is a lot, man. 15 pounds is a lot, but he does have lighter man skills, so that's cool. Patchy Mix is free, man. Is he free from PFL Bellator? Did they release him? Ilya versus Islam was going to be fireworks. Ilya gangstick. Ilya's going to be sick. I don't think that fight will ever happen. Yeah. Paul Craig Gilbert's Burns plus 3207. Ilya versus Patty going to be a banger. I will say that. The opportunity, the silver lining in this is that lightweight is wide open because, Islam probably would have ran the lightweight division had Ilia Topuria not moved up. He probably would have ran it, right? He probably would have beat everybody. But now they open the door. They get a new champion in there, whether it's Charles or Ilia. I expect it to be Ilia. But let's just say Ilia Topuria wins over Charles Oliveira. Paddy Pimblett beats a guy like Justin Gaethje. He's getting the title shot. That fight's going to be massive. Ilia Topuria, Paddy Pimblett would be huge, bro. The beef goes back so far. They both still hate each other. They both respect each other, but they both still hate each other. Ilia Topuria is an absolute killer. Paddy Pimblett looks like super improved ever since he fought Jared Gordon. And he's got the personality. That'd be a sick fight, dude. Really weird. Islam always talks legacy. Why not fight a guy who's undefeated? Exactly, bro. Exactly. To be honest, ever since Bilal won, he's been preying on his downfall. Yeah, that's true. He really has been. Do I want to? No, I don't. I like Islam a lot, but it's obvious he knew Topuria isn't Volk and genuinely could beat him because of the grapple. Yeah, exactly, bro. I told you that would be awesome. Imagine Islam gets KO'd by JDM, and because he's not as strong, he gets ragdolled by Brady. Wow. Just imagine. Imagine a world where Ilya moves up to 170, loses to JDM, then has to fight a guy like Sean Brady and gets out grappled or something, just gets weight bullied by Sean Brady. That'd be funny as fuck. Patchy Mix parted ways with the UFC. That's amazing. I would love to see him in the UFC. I might be dreaming, but like, man's got a dream, What do I think of 317? I think it's pretty solid. Would have loved to see Ilya versus Islam, but at least the belt's gone. At least Islam's not holding on to the belt, and they got to fight for like an interim belt. JDM knockout was so live in round 5. It really was, bro. Joshua Soto with the $2 dono. I appreciate you, brother. Patchy Mix coming to UFC. Who would be the matchup? Patchy Mix coming to the UFC. Let's take a look at the rankings. Bantamweight. Ooh. I think you could match him up with like you could give him like the loser of Mario Batista, Cheeto Vera. I think that would be a solid fight. Maybe you could give him Kyler Phillips. You can't give him a top 5 guy. I just don't think you could do that yet. You can give him a guy in the rankings, but probably between like 8 and 15, somebody in that range. Who do you think would win, Ilya or Patty? I think Ilya would win. Are we really forgetting Armin? He beats everyone. Yeah, I mean, I said Armin. I said Armin is still a fight that Islam could have had. Genuinely think JDM beats Islam. People, I hate to say this, but I think Islam a bit overrated right now. He's still struggled against an injured Dustin and Volk stuff majority of his takedowns. Yeah, you're not wrong, bro. I don't think Islam was ducking Ilya, and I think he was tired of making that 155 cut because he's had the hardest cut than any other lightweight. So I don't think it was him ducking. I think it was the cut. But I mean, I can understand that. Like, I can understand you not wanting to cut weight, but this only really started to happen to where Islam was serious about moving up to 170 when Ilya vacated his belt and was moving up to 155. Like, he had talked about it, but he was running 155, bro. He's running 155, getting new matchups, and then all of a sudden Ilya moves up to 155, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to cut any more weight. I'm going to move up to 170 if Bilal loses. Kind of fishy, man. Bro asked me on a date. Islam legacy, easy money. Odds on of Usman making a move to the UFC now. Usman Nurmagomedov, I don't think that's going to happen, bro. But maybe it does. Maybe it does. Because the only reason Usman was in PFL and Bellator is because Islam was at 155. But does he really want to come over and fight with the big dogs? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Roman versus Paulo prediction. If it's 3 rounds, I think it's 3 rounds. I think Roman could beat him, bro. I feel like Islam's frame is small for welterweight. Them dudes are big compared to him. Imagine Buckley versus Islam. Yeah, I mean, Buckley would look a lot thicker, man. A lot thicker. But, you know, maybe he bulks up. We'll see. Gets on that Dagestani juice. People talk about Mix like he's one of the best in the world, so I wouldn't mind them backing up that talk. Yeah, I mean, come on over to the UFC. I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to do. Early Hamza versus DDP prediction. Well, if you've joined my lives before, you know what I say. Hamza comes out, gets those takedowns. DDP is in some bad positions. We get to round 2. Round 2. Hamza looks for the takedown, gets it. DDP gets back up. He gets back up. He starts to put some pressure on. Hamzat's still firing back, though. Still dangerous. We get to round 3. Round 3, Hamzat's starting to look a little bit tired. DDP looking fresh. He's bloodied up, but he's looking fresh. He took some shots. He took some ground and pound. There was a couple sketchy moments early on, but then DDP starts to put it on him. And then he starts breaking him round 4. And then he starts breaking him again in round 5. And I think it's DDP 48-47. Unanimous decision. Takes rounds 3, 4, and 5. What's the easiest win to legitimize Patty's title shot against Ilya? I would say it's Justin Gaethje, but I could be wrong just off the top of my head. I mean, you could maybe do fucking Dan Hooker, Patty Pimblett. Not that that's an easy fight, but you know, maybe I could see this. Let's say Charles Oliveira loses to Ilia Topuria, and then they do Charles versus Patty. Maybe that's a nice one. Justin Gaethje probably, though. Because if he beat Ilya, people would say, yeah, of course. Islam only wants JDM because he thinks he can easily get a takedown and control. That'll blow up in his face. We shall see. It should be an interesting one. Big fan of the location for DDP Hamzat. They need a banger like that for the co-main event. They should do Armin versus Justin. I would love that. My boy loves Tafa. I took him $100 even bet versus Denise. Tafa? Did that ever get announced? Who the fuck is Tafa fighting? Is that International Fight Week? Justin Tafa? Hanata Denise? Dude, I think Denise smokes him. But Tafa's got to punch his chance. Generally think DDP would be like a plus 200 dog, so I hope that happens so we can make some money on DDP. Well, right now he is a plus 200 underdog, so you are accurate in that assessment. Patchy Mix, very unusual name. I guess it's better than Basharat. What do you think of the RDR Whitaker announcement? My apologies if you already discussed. We talked about that on Sunday service a little bit, but I think that's the repeat of DDP versus Whitaker. RDR is just very physical. Not going to stand at kickboxing range. Whitaker doesn't like physical fights. RDR is going to bring a physical fight. I think he wins. Does a finish over Whitaker give RDR an immediate title shot? It might. It might. All right, we're almost 20 minutes in, boys. I apologize. I didn't get all the chats, but we got to get into this breakdown. We got to get into this breakdown because I can't be on here for almost 2 hours like I did last time. But that was a pay-per-view card. This is an Apex card. An Apex card that I will be at. I will actually be at this Apex card. All right. We got Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. The boys of Home of Fight are coming over to the Sin City. We're taking over the Apex. All right. Hopefully you see us on the screen on the TV. We'll be cheering for Gilbert. We'll be there for every single fight. It should be an interesting time. I'm going to hopefully do a nice vlog for you guys, get some content there, so that you guys can see what it's like in the Apex, because I've always wondered it. I've seen a few things about the Apex, but I've always wanted to go to one, but it's pretty pricey to go to the Apex. So you got to have a good reason if you're going to go to the Apex. This is a pretty good reason, because our boy Gilbert Burns is on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 38, taking on Michael Morales, up-and-coming guy, undefeated. He's a massive underdog. He's like plus 550 or something like that. Plus 575. What's his latest odds? Come on, load. Load. Come on, load. Jeez. All right. Well, he's a big underdog. He's a massive underdog. So he's going to need some extra support in there. Not that he needs it, but, it would be nice to have some fans cheering you on if you're going to be in a big fight. And there's not a lot of fans at the Apex. So hopefully we're going to be there cheering him on. He cannot afford to lose. He cannot afford to lose against Michael Morales. Because if he does, we're going to lose some money. I'm just kidding. But we'll talk about that fight. Come on. This thing needs to freaking load. BetOnline's tweaking right now. Trying to get the odds up for you guys so you can see them. Burns at plus 625 right now. Are we serious? Tell me how that line makes any type of sense, man. Any type of sense. I see plus 570, but either way, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. All right, before we get into this breakdown here, you guys got to let me know in the chat, what do you want to do? We want to go from the first fight of the night up to the main event, or do we want to start with the main event, work our way down to the first fight of the night? Please let me know in the chat. If you're watching over on Instagram, please come on over to YouTube, to the Hey Jai Picks YouTube channel. I forgot to post a link on my story before I fired it up. I'm sorry, but just go to YouTube, go to the app, search Hey Jai Picks. We're live on YouTube right now. I'm going to cut you off on the IG chat. Come on over to YouTube. Your chats probably get read on the screen. So I'm going to be able to read your chats a lot easier than if you're on Instagram. Please, if you're not on Instagram, come on over to YouTube. You're gone. And if you're on X, welcome on in. Welcome on in. We're talking UFC Vegas 106. We already just spent the first 25 minutes talking about the fights that just got announced. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and rewatch that later. Let's see what the chat wants to do. Remove. Bottom to top, the disrespect. First fight, ESPN bet at 650. Jesus. Bottom to top, bottom to top, bottom to top. I like that. I like that. Bottom to top. Bottoms up. You should put Austin in a wig and bring him on your show. I mean, I would love to, but the man cannot afford to lose his job. Is the secret to generational wealth Gilbert Burns money line? I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think Justin Gaethje? Who do you think Justin Gaethje fights next? I would love to see Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker. I would love to see that. I think that's the fight. I appreciate you for the $199 dono, Ali. Very much appreciated. Must be a big Gaethje fan. Call me delusional. Craig gets a W. Bottom to top. All right, so it sounds like we're going bottom to top. I like my girl on the bottom, me on the top. Well, thank you for that information. Nobody will know if they just cut his hair. Burns money line, Craig money line, Sadiq money line. Let's cash. Let's go bottom to top. We're going to use ESPN so you can get a little bit of information. I got a couple tabs open. I'm going to go through the matchup. Share that one. I'm going to go through the matchup, and then we'll talk some betting angles. I'll pull up the odds and check it out. But first fight of the night, looks like we got Tisha Pennington, Luana Pinheiro. The odds are pretty heavily in Tisha Pennington's favor, which I don't really agree with because Tisha Pennington doesn't exactly have the style to blow you out of the water. Now, she has a style of winning a lot of minutes, which can help her here. But she doesn't have big power. She's not really going to offensively grapple. So basically, she's going to win a 15-minute point kickboxing fight, which she has done many times, but a lot of it is against lower level opponents. And when she's losing, she's very competitive in her losses, but they're going to close decisions. And sometimes she's not getting her hand raised. So that is a big red flag. All right. She's also 35 years of age. She came back after having a baby. She's 1-1 since she's came back. So at least she's got a dub under her belt since she's come back. But it was against Carla Esparza, who had a baby, took like 2 years off, had a baby, and then came back and retired. So I don't know how much you can put much stock into that win. Luana Pinheiro, pretty much on the way out of the UFC at this point. She's on a 3-fight losing streak. If she loses this, she's probably cut. So there is some motivation for Luana Pinheiro, but there isn't exactly much momentum coming in here. She also does her thing on the OnlyFans, so she's probably making some money that way. She might not need the UFC's paycheck as much as some other girls might need it. You got to factor that in. I think Luana Pinheiro has the chance to steal around. She can steal around with bigger shots. She's got some pretty heavy hands for a strawweight. She throws a nice overhand. Her jab, it looked really good her last fight. Her offensive grappling is not amazing. She's got some nice judo throws. Her offensive grappling is okay. She's not like a get you down and sub you real quick type of girl. But I think she has enough offense here to at least make it competitive. Like, I think she'll make some, if it's striking, she's going to have her moments. And we're in the apex. So Tisha Pennington's, hit and run type of movement probably isn't going to work out as well as it would in a big cage. So you got to factor that in as well. And Tisha Pennington does have some flaws of getting held up against the cage. She's 5'1", so she's not very big, but she is pretty strong, and her takedown defense has looked pretty solid. So I don't know that Luana Pinheiro is going to be able to hold her up against the cage for extended periods of time. I don't know if she's going to get takedowns at will. I think she's really going to have to work for it. So ultimately, I probably, if there's a gun to my head, I'd probably say Tisha Pennington wins a decision, but she's minus 330 now. Let's take a look at the odds. She's minus 330 on the money line. This fight is minus 400 to go the distance. So, I mean, it's what, 80, 90% chance of going to the judges? And do you want to trust the judges with minus 330 in your parlay? Probably not. Probably not. So, for me, there's no way in hell I'm laying minus 330 on Tisha Pennington. Not going to happen. Not even the slightest bit of consideration on my half. I'm not doing that. Luana Pinheiro by points, plus 500. Could be sneaky. Maybe it'd probably be like a split decision. Pinheiro by split plus 900. I think the plus 3.5 angle for Luana Pinheiro is probably the best. I really do. I think that's probably the best. I think she can win a round. I don't see how Tisha Pennington just easily 30-27s this girl. I don't think she's going to finish her either. You know, Luana's been finished a couple times, and I do think there is a possibility that Tisha finds like a nice head kick, because Amanda Ribas did kind of knock out Luana Pinheiro with a head kick, but that was in round 3. She was pretty gassed. She was also up like 2-0 on the judges' scorecards. I'm pretty sure she was. Or at least it was 1-1. And Amanda Ribas is pretty solid. She was tagging Amanda Ribas early on in that fight. So we'll see how this one works out. I think Luana Pinheiro as the underdog is the side, but it doesn't mean she's going to win, because, I mean, Tisha Pennington by points, minus 240. Like, they're pretty confident she's going to win a decision here. I'm just not as confident because I don't trust the judges. I don't trust Tisha Pennington's point fighting style. I don't trust her fighting in a smaller cage. And I think Luana Pinheiro does have some offense to make this look a lot closer than the odds entail. So for me, Luana Pinheiro plus 3.5 looks pretty solid. Let's hit the chats. JT Taylor's just showing my support for your content with the $4.99 dono. I appreciate that, JT. I appreciate you joining and showing your love. Damn, autocorrect on YouTube doesn't like iOS. What is that? Tisha was competitive with Ricci. She was, and I actually thought she should have won that fight. I thought she should have won that fight. I thought she landed way more shots than Ricci did, and I don't think Ricci... I mean, the judges just love Tabitha Ricci, so that's tough. She's good, but she has no gas tank. Her gas tank looked better her last fight. So there is some, like, things you can take away from her loss to Jillian Robertson. I thought her gas tank looked a lot better than it has, you know, in her couple other fights. But maybe that was just because there's a lot more grappling. We'll see. Stand-up is dog shit. Tisha can style on her while stopping her takedown attempts. I mean, Pinheiro is not really like a high-volume striker. She's more of a hit you with big power shots. And go watch that Ribas fight. Go watch Amanda Ribas versus Luana Pinheiro. Watch the first couple rounds. Pinheiro was hitting her with some big shots, dude. Some big shots. You should correct Matty sometimes on his crazy bets. And that man's going to do what he wants to do. I tried to tell him Bilal was never going to get a finish, but he's going to do what he wants to do. Pinheiro won a round on Robertson. She did. She did, exactly. Tisha always go into these narrow decisions. Don't like the line at all. 100%. How much does it cost to join your premium group? Well, if you're new, you can get the free trial. There's always a free trial live. You can use my code HeyJive. There's a link down in the description below. You can use code HeyJive, and you'll get a 5-day free trial. So you'll get this week for free. And then after that, it's $24.99 a week. If you want to save some money, you can go $89.99 a month. But you can cancel at any time, and you can cancel before you get charged. So you can just try it out for 5 days. If you don't like it, just cancel it. It's not for you. Let's go to the next one, boys. Hyun-Sung Park, Carlos Hernandez. I think Carlos Hernandez is the side here, boys, because for one, it's the year of the undefeated fighter losing their L. All right. So we got that on our side. We got that. Hyun-Sung Park, on the other hand, just from how he fights, I don't think the guy is that great. I really don't. I mean, the guy's win in the UFC is Shannon Ross. Shannon Ross, we all know, is not very good. Shannon Ross is very chinny, and it took Hyun-Sung Park almost 2 full rounds to knock him out. I think he dropped him a couple times, took his back once, couldn't get the submission, even though Shannon Ross has been submitted a couple times. So that's not really the best look. I don't really take away much from the win over Shannon Ross. His run on the road to the UFC wasn't great either. His win against Sunguk Choi was like a very competitive fight until the 3rd round when he submitted him. He actually got dropped in that fight as well. I just don't really think Hyun-Sung Park does anything that's going to blow Hernandez out of the water. You know, Hernandez is losing when he's fighting some really solid guys, like a beast grappler, Alon Nascimento. We got submitted, got knocked out by Tatsuro Taira. Taira has really underrated striking. And the takedown threat was just, it was there. It was there, man. I also think Hernandez, when he faces this level of a competition, he can just do a lot more than a guy like Hyun-Sung Park. Like, Hernandez's boxing, it's not dangerous. Like, he doesn't have big power, but he has really solid movement. He has fast hands. I think his defensive grappling has gotten a lot better over the years. I think Hernandez's offensive wrestling could come into play here, because I don't think Hyun-Sung Park is going to be great off his back. So I think Hernandez could take him to a close decision or maybe even blow him out of the water. Like, I don't see how Hyun-Sung Park finishes Carlos Hernandez. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see him getting a submission. So is Hyun-Sung Park going to win enough minutes in this fight to win 2 out of the 3 rounds? I wouldn't chalk it up at minus 180. I got probably say it's 50-50 or Hernandez has a better chance of winning a decision. So I think Hernandez is the side, man. I think Hernandez is the side. Let's pull up the odds. There it is. Hernandez plus 147. I'm probably going to be playing that. Probably going to be playing that on the money line for Hernandez. I always thought Hernandez was like, he's just so well-rounded that he can beat a lot of these guys that come into the UFC that haven't faced a lot of competition. I mean, Hernandez is the veteran in this spot. He's got way more UFC experience, fought really good guys. Hernandez by points is plus 160. What the hell? That should be a better number. I would not take that. It's what? Barely anything off of his money line. Yeah, I mean, Hernandez looks to be the side to me. Hernandez plus 3.5, minus 175. I don't mind the fight goes the distance at minus 225 either. I know it's chalky, but I don't really see Hernandez getting finished. I don't really see Hernandez as a finisher either. So it looks like Hernandez by decision to me, but I wouldn't play that. I would just play his money line. It looks solid. It looks solid. I'll probably play it, honestly. We'll see where the line moves because, maybe Hyun-Sung Park being the undefeated Korean guy, maybe some people like him. I don't really like him, man. I don't think he's really all that. Let's hit the chats on that one. We'll keep this up on the screen so everybody knows what we're talking about. UFC hates Hernandez. Dude, they match him up pretty harshly. Hernandez and Gilbert taking O's away is big money. Hey, could be. Tatsuro is legit. He is dog by sub. Hernandez money line. Hey, I can't fault you. I think I'm probably going to be playing it, bro. I think I'm probably going to be playing it. Hernandez by TKO. What is the odds on that? Hernandez by TKO is plus 1,400. Damn. I mean, he should have had a TKO over Dennis Bondar. He should have had that. I mean, it was what, a technical decision because I don't know why they stopped. I don't know what happened there, but should have been a knockout. Park should win, which means he's losing. Exactly. Your reaction to Dana's live stream today. We went over all that at the beginning of the stream. So you're going to have to turn back or rewind on the live stream right now. But we went over all that for about 20 minutes. Hernandez was close with Ray Saruya. Dude, I remember I had a bet on Carlos Hernandez against Ray Saruya. And he did pretty solid in the grappling. And then Saruya tired out and he won that 3rd round, but he's just not enough time. Moises Hernandez, can't trust these road to UFC guys. You really can't. Went to bet your better picks 30 seconds after you posted them. While I'm making my bet, they changed them. So I couldn't pull the trigger. Insane. Dude, it is insane. It is insane. And usually better isn't that quick to adjust the lines, but they were on it this week. They were really on it. Hernandez lost me the split decision with Tumen Dembro. I think I bet on Hernandez that spot, but I kind of forget. But at least I know I picked him. I'm not sure if I bet him, though. All right, let's move on to some more women's MMA. That's the brutal thing about, going to this Apex card. You're paying all that money, and we got 4 women's MMA fights on this? No, we got 3. 3 women's MMA fights. That's pretty tough. That's really tough, honestly. But either way, I think this is a spot we can make some money, boys. All right. We got Denise Gomes, Elise Reed. I think Elise Reed is solid in some aspects, but I think she's severely lacking in a lot of other aspects. And you look at her UFC wins, they're not much to brag about. Okay. Jessica Penne at 40 years old. That was her last win. It's a nice win. I mean, she looks solid in it, but Jinyu Frey, old, got cut. Melissa Martinez, that was Melissa's UFC debut. And honestly, I don't think Elise Reed did much in that fight other than she landed a knockdown and she was able to get a couple takedowns. Melissa Martinez, very green at the time, did not get that win. And the win over Corey McKenna, I remember that fight and I was like, dude, Corey McKenna, you need to shoot takedowns. And she was not shooting takedowns. She was not shooting takedowns, and that was her easiest path to victory. She did not shoot takedowns. She got 3, but it was too late. It was just too late. She just did it way too late in the round. She was already down, and she couldn't win the round with a takedown with a minute left, So then you look at her losses. She's getting submitted by Lupi Godinez. Lupi Godinez doesn't finish anybody. She don't finish anybody. Lupi Godinez is probably the most harmless women's MMA striker there's ever been. She don't finish anybody. She knocked her down and submitted her. And then, that was a really bad look. Even though, she's never going to beat Lupi Godinez, but to get finished by Lupi Godinez like she did, not a good look. She gets finished by Loma Luke Boonmay. Loma Luke Boonmay is a pure Thai striker. She's Muay Thai. She's literally from Thailand. She's a Muay Thai striker. She has learned how to grapple a little bit, but she literally got submitted by Loma Luke Boonmay. That's a bad look. She got TKO'd by Sam Hughes, who doesn't finish anybody, and she got TKO'd by Sijara Eubanks. I believe if Denise Gomes gets this girl to the ground, it's going to be a bad, bad night for Elise Reed. I don't think Elise Reed has much on the ground. And Denise Gomes, she's never had a submission, but maybe this is the time because she has 5 submission attempts in the UFC. She has yet to get one, but she has tried. At least she's trying. She's trying, man. She's trying. She's still 25. She's improving her skill set every time she goes out there. She just won a pretty clear decision against Karolina Kowalkiewicz, who I think is way better than Elise Reed. So I think this is a step down in competition. She's also got pretty solid wins on her record. Now, Eduarda Mora, absolute mammoth at 115. She beat her by decision. She beat Yasmin Jauregui. She was the first person to crack that chin of Yasmin Jauregui. And she knocked out Bruna Brazil. I think the Brazilian with the neck tat, who we know is lesbian because she's in bed with Carol Rosa, is probably going to come out here and get a finish. I think she's going to finish Elise Reed. I think she's probably going to be able to out-physical her on the feet. She's going to be landing a lot more impactful shots. And I think she could maybe find a club and sub here. Let's take a look at the odds. Denise Gomes, huge favorite. Huge favorite. I like the under at plus 155. I like that. I like Denise Gomes inside the distance. Plus 145. That doesn't even make any sense. That makes 0 sense. Don't play that. That's a shit number. You could probably get a better number on, another book. Because BetOnline's usually the first book to put their lines out, so they're going to be really soft. They don't want to expose themselves too much. So they're going to have really soft lines for them, not for us. They're going to be tough for the bettors. You're not going to get the best lines. You're probably going to have to wait till later in the week. But Denise Gomes by sub at plus 500. I think it looks solid, but like I said, if you wait till later in the week, you'll probably be able to get a better number on one of these other sports books. Because plus 500 for a girl that's never had a submission doesn't really seem that great, but I do think she finishes her, man. I really do. I think Denise Gomes is going to use her physicality, get in on the inside, push her up against the cage, land some clinch strikes, drag her down to the ground. She's probably going to beat her up. She's going to beat her up. Give me Denise Gomes inside the distance, boys. Gomes inside the distance is stupid free. The subline could be good, but KO probably the line you want to play, if anything. Yeah, I mean, Elise Reed can get TKO'd on the ground as well. Can't believe we're going, let Elise Reed get beat up by that young man on TV. Hey, Denise Gomes. That's a handsome young lad right there. All right? Very handsome young lad. Love the sub look. Chill, bro. These lines are killing me. Betway is pretty good for lines when they come out. I don't know. I don't think I've ever used Betway. I don't know if I have access to that. Had some bangers recently, yeah. Except for that title fight last week. Jesus, dude. About put me to sleep. We got more women's MMA. Up next, boys. Luana Santos, Tainara Lisboa. Before I say anything, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat, who do you think wins this? Luana Santos, Tainara Lisboa. Because I'm not exactly sold either way, but I want to see what you guys think. Luana Santos, 8-2, coming off the loss to Casey O'Neill. She was 3-0 in the UFC, but her level of competition wasn't great. Tainara Lisboa has been off for a year and a half. She's been off for a year and a half. It looks like she had knee surgery. She's 34 years of age. She's had 2 UFC fights, both against low-level competition. Jessica Rose Clark got cut. Ravina Oliveira has had 1 UFC fight. We don't know how good she is. I don't think she's that good. Lisboa, lifelong Muay Thai striker. Luana Santos, more of a judo jiu-jitsu girl. who usually fights at 125, but she's fighting at 135. So there's a little bit of a something out of left field there, man. Like Luana at 135, I don't know how much I like her. What does the chat say? We got Santos by low spot, in my opinion. The over. Lisboa at bantamweight. Lisboa. Santos open plus 135. Santos loses by getting more OF subscriptions. Santos, but not as confident in his last fights. Luana 100%. Tainara is a bit older, coming off knee injury. That should tell you all you need to know narrative-wise. Luana, shake bet by decision. Judoka with awful stand-up. Santos overall better, even though she's moving up a weight class. 2 Brazilians, you take the over. Maybe Lisboa flash going on. Oh my God, dude. Who UFC wants to win or kill parlay? Lisboa in a dog or pass spot. If Lisboa wins 2-1, close decision with little finish upside. If Santos wins, it's either close decision or clear decision or finish. She also did miss weight by 4 pounds her last bantamweight. You are correct. Here's what I'm thinking with this one, guys. I think if this fight's on the feet, I think Tainara is just way more sharper. Like, based on the film that we have, Luana Santos striking is not good. It is not good. I know she knocked out Juliana Miller in the first round, but her striking is not good. Okay, Tainara Lisboa is way more clean. Her technique is way more straight and down the pipe. She's probably going to be tagging Luana with some really nice shots while the fight is on the feet. I also don't know if I can trust her, though, because she's coming off the knee surgery. She's been off for a year and a half. So I don't know that she's going to be able to come back to what she was. But I also have to, you factor in the grappling. And I think Luana's judo is probably going to play a big factor here, because I don't know that Tainara can defend those judo throws. I think Luana's probably going to have some success with the judo, getting her to the ground, but can she do anything with it? Like, can she do anything on the ground once she hits those judo throws and is on top of her? In some fights, she's had success with it. In a lot of other fights, she hasn't. Her jiu-jitsu is probably a lot better than Tainara's, but Tainara actually is not that bad of a grappler. Like, she's gotten taken down a couple times, but I wouldn't say her takedown defense is terrible. She also shoots some offensive takedowns, which could play a factor here, but I don't know if I want her going for takedowns against Luana, because, you're playing, this is low-level women's MMA, and armbar from guard could happen at any time. So I kind of lean Tainara just because I think she's going to have a solid edge in the stand-up, and I don't know that Luana's takedowns are going to be there at all times. Like, I think her takedowns are kind of reliant on the judo throws. So if this fight's going to be on the feet for majority of it, I think Tainara is probably the side as the underdog. I would probably chalk it up as a dog or pass. But I don't know what she's going to look like after the layoff with the knee surgery. Maybe she comes out looking really slow, a little sluggish, loses the first round, and then it kind of snowballs from there. But I wouldn't really say Santos is a great 3-round fighter. I wouldn't really say she's got great cardio. I know Lisboa has, some pretty solid cardio, but the knee, it just really comes down to the knee, man. Like, I don't know how the knee's going to look. I guess maybe if you look at her at weigh-ins and she looks like she's in great shape, that'll give you a little bit of a boost of confidence, but I would chalk it up as a dog or pass. Lisboa is plus 150 now. So that's probably, I don't know, maybe it continues to grow. I wouldn't be laying minus 176 on Luana Santos. I wouldn't be doing it. I just don't think her striking is good enough to win minutes on the feet. I just don't see it. Luana Santos by sub at plus 500. That's probably the way I see her getting it done, or at least, if you're confident in Luana Santos in this spot, I think that's probably what you're looking for, is a Luana Santos submission. Plus 500 is not terrible, but I think it's probably Lisboa by points. Lisboa by KO is plus 1,000. I think Luana's got a decent chin on her. She just gets hit so easily. Halftime 93 with the 199 dono. I appreciate you. Under 6 strikes kind of fight. I was thinking about that because I think there could be some grappling here, but I just don't trust either side. If they get stuck on the feet, where Luana can't get her takedowns, then it could turn into a high volume striking affair. Luana Santos back, or Luana moving back up means her thyroid is probably acting up again. It's common for doctors to be clueless when treating thyroid probably, so not necessarily going to see an improved version of Santos. That is true. I do believe that's why she's had troubles with her weight. Thyroid issues. Which kind of sucks, man. Kind of sucks. She's not a victim on the ground. Very bad on bottom. Lacks fundamentals. Either that or she's too lazy for 125, which is a bad sign. Or she just thinks 135 is the easiest path to title. Who knows? Could be. Could be. Lisboa with points. Haymaker says Luana wins. In a parlay, Lisboa by points, the best here at Women's MMA Apex, man. Unimpressed with this card, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great card. It's really not. It's really not. And here we go. We got Yadier Del Valle taking on Connor Matthews. UFC debut for Del Valle. Another undefeated prospect. Coming in here as a big favorite, minus 500 to Connor Matthews. Connor Matthews' UFC career is not going very well. Round 3, TKO loss to Dennis Bazookia. Not a good look. Round 1, knockout loss to Jose Delgado. Now, I think Jose Delgado's a great fighter. I think he's going to do great things in the sport, so I don't really hold that too much against him, but he got smoked. Del Valle looks to be a pretty solid overall fighter. Is his reach cannot be 61 inches. There's absolutely no way. Absolutely no way. Can we get that checked? I got to double check this. There's absolutely no way. Okay, now his reach is 69 inches. LOL. 69, not 61. That would have been bad if he had a 61-inch reach. But I think he's a solid overall fighter. His wrestling looks solid. I don't think he's like a beast on the ground with his jiu-jitsu, but he will throw up a guillotine if you go for a takedown on him. I don't really expect a takedown from Connor Matthews, but it could happen. It definitely could happen. I don't think Del Valle is some amazing striker, but he uses his kicks pretty well. His ones and twos down the pipe, southpaw guy. I think he'll be able to hit Connor Matthews with some shots. I think he's clean enough to where he can pick his shots and do well in the striking, probably win minutes. Connor Matthews, not an amazing fighter, man. Like he's okay in the stand-up, but he's very hittable. And his jiu-jitsu is okay. Like he's got a bunch of submissions on the regional scene, but this dude was literally fighting absolute cans. I'm pretty sure this guy has 2 wins over Jay Ellis. I got to just double check that. But I'm pretty sure this is the guy that fought Jay Ellis twice on his come up, which is a terrible sign. Okay, no, he fought him once. He fought Jay Ellis once. Okay. That's still not good. Still not good. I mean, he beat a 1-2 guy before he fought in the Contender Series and then lost to Francis Marshall. Yeah, I mean, I think Del Valle wins, but do you want to be laying minus 500? Probably not. All right, well, the line's coming down a little bit. He's minus 430. I'm kind of tempted to play fight doesn't go at even money just because I think, Matthews can be hurt. If Del Valle really does cover minus 430, he probably gets a finish. Del Valle's went to 4 decisions though. He's coming off a decision win on the Contender Series, but he beat that dude up. He beat that dude up pretty bad. So I think maybe fight doesn't go at plus 100. Looks decent. Del Valle inside the distance plus 140. That's not great. I'd rather just play fight doesn't go. You get both upsides. Maybe he's a fraud. He gets caught. That's probably the way I would attack it. Under 2.5 for fight doesn't go. I think Del Valle could get him out of there. Matthews coming off back-to-back finish losses. But Connor Matthews is a guy that's going to go for it. Maybe he can find something, hurt him, get him down, choke him out, something like that. Some type of upset. Big upsets usually do happen inside the distance. So under 2.5, fight doesn't go. That's probably the area I'm going to attack in this one. But money line standpoint, I'm not really interested in either side. Matthews getting KO'd. Could see it. when I saw Yadir on Contender Series, I said, whenever he debuts, I'm taking out a second mortgage for the money line. Well, you're going to be paying some pretty heavy chalk. These Cubans are crazy. Got to go with Del Valle. Yeah. Apex, smaller cages, higher finish rate. Probably. How often do you hit on events? I just finally made a good amount, but it's always every other event. Well, the last 9 events, I've made money on 8 of them. So, and there's been what, 15 or 16 events this year? I think it's 16 events in 2025, and I've profited on 12. So 12-4 as far as profitable cards go for me in 2025. But those are on my official bets in the winnable. Let's go up. Jared Gordon, Thiago Moises. The fight that everybody's been asking for. Jared Gordon. God, he's such a tank, man. He is such a tank. 5'9". Who was he supposed to fight? He was supposed to fight somebody decent. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Hernandez. And he was a favorite against him. And then he was supposed to fight Nursultan's brother. And then Nursultan's brother had weight cut complications. So he didn't end up fighting in February. But he was in camp for a fight in February. That fell out. So then he gets booked against Moises in May. And Moises, did he have a cancellation? No, he didn't. Moises coming off the win over Trey Ogden. Now, that was a fight where I thought Trey Ogden was going to be able to win, and he was winning. He was winning on the feet, and then he made some mistakes in the grappling, and Moises made him pay for it. Moises won 29-28, I believe. Moises is always like a wild card because he's such a good grappler, but he doesn't always have the way to get it there. And on the feet, he's a little bit tentative, doesn't really do much. 2.5 significant strikes landed per minute. Like, he's pretty low output. And I don't want to say he's hittable, but he's there to be hit. And he's not exactly, countering with big shots. If you're a low volume striker, you at least got to be countering with big shots so you can hit big moments. He doesn't really do that. He has some nice leg kicks. His hands are kind of his weakness. When he's in the pocket or when guys are pressuring him, he doesn't really know what to do. But at range, he can land his leg kicks and then look for level changes. Jared Gordon's kind of a pressure fighter, so that's not going to go well for Thiago. I do think at some point these guys grapple, and Thiago is going to get the better of it. But for how long of the fight are they going to grapple? Is it one round? Probably. Like, it's probably once, maybe twice in the fight. So overall, I think Jared Gordon probably wins. But we're also talking, a 36-year-old compared to a 30-year-old. Jared Gordon's output's going to be a lot better. I think Jared Gordon's probably going to outland him on strikes. But it's score by round. And I just don't know how this fight's going to play out. I think it's fairly lined. Come on. Let's get the bets up. That's what y'all are here. Jared Gordon minus 118. I wouldn't really play it because I think it's kind of a 50-50. I think it probably does go to a decision, a pretty close and competitive decision. I don't see Jared blowing him out of the water with the striking. I think Moises, in the smaller cage will have moments of getting a hold of him, cage pushing, looking for a takedown, maybe getting a takedown, having some success with some control time on the ground. But Jared also has a pretty solid style to beat Thiago. Jared is not a big kicker. He's a guy that uses his hands mostly. And if he can just use his hands, have a solid base, defend the takedowns, I think he could probably win more minutes. So kind of talking myself into Jared Gordon a little bit, but I don't know that I can really trust him too well here because the fight goes to decisions. Minus 285. I think it probably does go to a decision, and the judges hate Jared Gordon. They just hate him. They absolutely hate him. So this one's probably just going to be a pass for me, man. Moises by sub is plus 600. That's not really great, honestly. I don't really see him getting a sub, but he did sub Melky Costa, who's on this card and is on a nice streak. So if he gets to the back, I don't want to say it's wraps, but I think he could threaten with something. And maybe you get one submission attempt from the guy. Can he finish it is the question. This is one I'm not really looking to have a lot of action in on. You and Maddie make such big money bets. How much percent do you make back? Is it a lot because it's sculling? I definitely don't make as big of bets as Maddie. Maddie's bankroll is way higher than mine. I'm more of a consistent stack my small wins type of guy. Maddie's the long shot guy. He's gonna lose a lot, but when he wins big, so it covers his losses and then a little bit. I do stay in Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin, yeah. Do you think, looking at it now, that Hernandez would have beaten Gordon after the Guram win? I think he would have given him a solid fight. I think he probably could have beaten Jerry Gordon. I do agree with that. Was this with the Fighting Nerds? I'll take it. Is he with the Fighting Nerds? I'm pretty sure he went back to ATT because I checked out his IG and I saw him at ATT. Honestly, I'd rather him be at ATT. Not fucking Thiago Santos. I got to give a shout out to Thiago, though. Thiago followed me on IG for a while now. Oh, and it's a big deal, boys. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I forgot about it, but Thiago, Big Daddy's coming soon. Thiago's got a family to feed. Yeah, it looks like he's at ATT with Gamrot. If we got Oompa in his corner, I think he's got a good shot. I love me some Oompa. Not a great fight, though, that I would be looking to get some big money on. Over on control time on DraftKings Pick 6. Is that really a thing you can bet on? Had a chunk on Nazareth and thought Jared Gordon won. What a sweat that was. I did as well. I thought Jared Gordon probably won. I was sweating that one. I think that was over in the Middle East, so we got that home cooking. Yeah, he did go back. He went back. You got a little baby to raise soon. All right, let's get into the next one. We don't have a picture for Mateus Camilo, but he is a UFC debuter. A UFC debuter who beat the man that asked Dana White for a contract, but they gave him a contract, but it wasn't a UFC contract. They gave him a developmental contract, and then they put him up against this guy, and this guy beat him, and this guy is now in the UFC. So interesting. But he's 24, Brazilian dude. He now trains in Las Vegas, I believe, with Myron Santos. I saw that on his Instagram. He was a Nova União guy, but he kind of fights like Myron Santos a little bit. We'll talk about Myron Santos later in the card, but I don't want to say he's low volume, but he's a guy that's wants to fight at range, wants to hit leg kicks, has some fast hands. You know, when he's pressuring, he'll kind of let it go, but for the most part, he's going to be center of the octagon, hitting you with leg kicks, backing up if you go at him and wanting to counter you. But once he feels like you're hurt a little bit, he'll start to pressure and start to pour it on. Gabe Green, coming down to 155. Coming down to 155 after a year and a half off. I don't know if this guy has been hurt or what, but his last performance against Brian Battle, he got knocked out in seconds, man. What was it? 14 seconds. He rushed at him. Brian Battle was pressed up against the cage, hit him with a nice little counter, right hook, dropped him, fight's over in 14 seconds. So, Gabe Green, back-to-back losses, but I do have to say, his losses in the UFC are not bad. Daniel Rodriguez in 2020, back when D-Rod was on a nice little streak. Ian Gary in 2022, and Brian Battle in 2023. Those are his losses in the UFC. That's not bad. Like, those are solid opponents. And he's not a guy that, has had a cupcake record over the year. I mean, he fought in Bellator. He went 2-1 in Bellator. Actually beat Chris Padilla in Bellator. We all know Chris Padilla. Lost to Jalen Turner in Bellator. He got knocked out in the first round. So he's fought some solid guys, man. He's fought some solid guys. He's fallen on some tough times. Back-to-back losses. Been off for a year and a half. But coming down to 155 might be a nice little resurgence for the kid. Okay. I got to say, though, I don't know what he's going to look like at 155 because, he's had some chin issues in the past at 170. At 155, is it going to be better? I don't know. Maybe it's the hitters aren't as hard. Maybe if he does make the weight properly, his chin will be fine. You got to throw that in there because we don't really know. Camilo, I don't understand why he's such a big favorite, man. I'm trying to wrap my head around this because what I saw on tape, I didn't really think Mateus Camilo was like some world beater. And I get you don't have to be a world beater to beat Gabe Green, but if Gabe Green can not get knocked out, he's probably the more active guy. You know, Camilo's a solid striker. Maybe, you know, Gabe Green does absorb a lot of significant strikes though as well. I just think if Gabe Green can get, you know, some cage push going, be physical with this guy and not just kickbox with him, he can make this a pretty competitive fight or maybe even take over. So right now I'm kind of leaning towards Gabe Green, but it's another thing like the Lisboa fight. He's been off for a year and a half. I don't know what he's been doing. He's moving down a weight class. This Camilo guy, I don't really know how good he is. Like he looks solid, but I also think he has some flaws. Like he is young, so he's still improving, but he's lost by sub twice. And, you know, his last submission loss was just 2 years ago. Actually, no, it was 3 years ago, 2022. I'm thinking it's 2024. He got guillotine choked, but then he's on a, you know, 6-fight winning streak. I think he's doing the right things to keep improving, you know, going to Extreme Couture training with some good guys. So it's tough to really have a solid read on this one. There's just so many question marks about both guys. I would chalk it up as a dog or pass. I don't think I'm going to be laying minus 225 on a UFC debuter. And I don't think Gabe Green is completely washed. Like his losses are against solid opponents. And I think he has the cardio, the grit, the forward pressure, the activity to make this competitive if he doesn't get knocked out. So maybe it's, you know, fight goes the distance at plus 140, but also Gabe Green is kind of a finisher in his own right. You know, if he's going to win this fight, I don't know that he's going to run away with a decision. So it might have to be like somewhat of a takeover on the young debuter type of thing. Gabe Green by sub plus 750. Gabe Green by knockout plus 425. They're not giving you anything too crazy there, man. They're really not. It's another fight I just don't really have a great read on. Maybe you take a stab on the dog. Because, I mean, what were the betting odds for Gabe Green against Brian Battle? Gabe Green was a favorite over Brian Battle. It was a favorite over Brian Battle. You know, like Brian Battle, I guess, wasn't like some great prospect at the time, but turned out to be a good one. He was only plus 170 to Ian Gary. I mean, he's not a terrible fighter, man. He's really not. And considering he's almost a 2-1 dog against a guy making his UFC debut, it's kind of tempting. So, gonna keep an eye on that one. Maybe I'll do a little bit more research, but for me, it's a dog or pass. Julian Erosa. My man, Juicy J, taking on Melquizael Costa. I think this might be the best fight on the main card outside of the main event. I really do. Because you know both guys are going to come to scrap. Julian Erosa is never in a boring fight. I think if Julian Erosa chin holds up, I think he wins this fight. But that's a big if. That's a big if. Okay? Erosa has struggled with the chin. Melky Costa, though, on the other hand, has been finished. He has been finished many times. You look at his career. He's been finished 4 times. KO'd twice. Subbed twice. Been subbed in the UFC by Thiago Moises. Been KO'd by Steve Garcia in the UFC. Now, those aren't terrible ways to go out against those guys. You're getting subbed by Thiago. Okay. You're getting KO'd by Steve Garcia. Okay. Because Steve Garcia is an absolute beast. And both of those fights were at 155. The question mark for me is this is Melky Costa's 3rd fight in 2025. His 3rd fight in 5 months. And I don't even know if it's 5 months because, he fought Andre Fili in February. So it's really his 3rd fight in 4 months. It's a lot of weight cuts. It's a lot of preparation. I know he got a round 1 finish against Fili, but he just went 3 hard rounds with Christian Rodriguez March 29th. So about a month and a half since his last fight. So now he's got to cut down to 145 again. I know he's young, But you make that many fights in a row, you're bound to have like a down performance because your body's probably not healed all the way. You're weight cutting again. That's not great for your body to do 3 weight cuts in the span of 4 months. That's the real red flag for me on Costa because I think his overall style is going to be able to compete with Julian Erosa. I think he's a solid enough striker. Uses his kicks really well. Julian Erosa has a lot of forward pressure, so maybe that gives him some problems. His grappling is solid. I mean, he scrambled really well with Christian Rodriguez. I know Julian Erosa's nasty with his submissions, and he actually submitted Christian Rodriguez. It just comes down to Julian Erosa's chin, man. If he gets hit with a nice counter from Melky Costa, how does he deal with it? Does he go out? That's the question. But he's the underdog. He's the underdog at plus 165. So at least you're not laying juice on a guy with, not the best chin. But, if you bet on Julian Erosa and he gets knocked out in the first round, are you going to be surprised? Probably not. You got to at least, be ready for that. You got to be ready for that to happen if you're going to bet on Julian Erosa. For me, it's a dogger pass, dude. I wouldn't be laying minus 183 on Melky Costa. Even if he goes out there and gets a first round knockout, cool. But I wouldn't be laying minus 183. Erosa has good cardio. He's got solid striking, throws a ton of volume, solid grappling. His only knock is that he has a bad chin. But we haven't seen that bad chin in his last 3 fights. I mean, his last 3 fights, he's won. So, maybe he's been juicing that head a little bit. Who knows? Maybe he got into Bilal's stash, juiced up his head a little bit, juiced up his chin, and maybe it's going to be good. Dogger pass for me. Julian Erosa, money line, probably not the play. Could win a decision. I do think he could win a decision, but Julian Erosa doesn't really fight to win fights by decision. I mean, he goes out there looking for the finish every single time. Erosa inside the distance, plus 250. Pretty decent. Erosa sub, plus 400. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, does Costa shoot takedowns? That's the question. He has in the past, but he's not really out there looking for a bunch of takedowns. He shot 1 takedown, or shot 2 takedowns against C-Rod. 2 takedowns against Nerdembeke. 2 takedowns against Steve Garcia. 3 takedowns. Okay, he does shoot some takedowns, man. Does he want to shoot takedowns here, though? It's also, I mean, Julian Erosa is a big featherweight, 6'1", long. Like, he's a big featherweight, and he's fast. So it's a dogger pass for me, man. It's a dogger pass. But, if you're betting on Julian Erosa, you know he can get knocked out of the first. Game Green coming back from a bruised heart. Jesus, what the hell? I got to learn more about that. Best fight on the card, 100%. Melky decision or Erosa in round 1. Erosa by sub 2, I fear. Bet on Burns money line, 200 to win 1,000. Damn. Pacers about to sweep the Caps. Could not care less. Hardest fight to pick. It is tough. Go Pacers. I guess everyone's more concerned about the Pacer game than the fucking Julian Erosa Melky Costa breakdown. I can't exactly blame you, but dogger pass for me, boys. I think we should move on. Dustin Stolus, Nursultan Rusev. This one's pretty binary to me. I think it's Rusev, bonk, round 1, or Dustin Stolus gets some takedowns and drags this man into the deep waters. Which is more likely? I think Nursultan Rusev, bonk, is more likely, but I also think Stolus, with the right game plan, in a small cage, can close the distance, get this guy up against the cage, and see what he's got. Because Rusev in a big cage, it's going to be really tough to close that distance, man. It's going to be really tough, and you're going to have to eat some shots. But in the small cage, you could fucking bear crawl, get him up against the cage, drag this man to the ground because his takedown defense, not great. His ground game, not great. His cardio, not great. But he is huge. He does hit hard. His right hand is nasty. And it's very intimidating for guys because he's 6'5". So he doesn't have the longest reach at 76 inches, but he's 6'5". So he's standing there and just looking at him looking up at him. You're like, holy shit, how am I gonna get to this guy? If I throw a punch, I might hit his neck. You're not even gonna be able to touch him. He doesn't really use his range that well. He just kind of waits, stays cocked, ready to go, stays cocked. Pause. Stays loaded. Stays locked and loaded with that right hand. And he's ready to throw it if you close that distance. I don't know how Stolus closes the distance, man. Because he doesn't really have, great entries on his takedowns. He doesn't really have great boxing to get on the inside. I think he's just going to have to, just straight up blast double, football tackle this dude to the ground, get him down to the ground in round 1, hold him there for round 1, tire him out, and try to take over as the fight goes on. So let's take a look at the bets. We're not looking at Erosa Costa anymore. We're looking at Rusev, Stolus. Rusev minus 282. I'm never going to be laying heavy chalk on Rusev. I'm just never going to be doing it unless he's fighting like Shannon Ross or some shit. I'm just never going to be doing it because he's a round 1 or bust type of guy. Like he's a early KO or bust type of fighter. I'm never going to be laying chalk on a guy like that. Stolster's plus 242. It's not great, but I would say it's a dog or pass money line standpoint. Probably a pass. Rusev round 1 is plus 110. That's pretty shit, dude. That's pretty cheeks. Stolus round 3 plus 2,000. That's kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie. Stolus round 3 and plus 2,000 is kind of interesting. Round 3 sub plus 3,300 is kind of interesting. What's Stolus' decision? Plus 600. I'm just not a big Rusev believer, but I still think, he's going to knock out a lot of guys because he's so intimidating and he is powerful. And if he lands that right hand, a lot of guys are going to feel it. And Stolus has been knocked out a couple times, but I don't think he's chinny. When he's getting knocked out, he's getting hit with some big shots. Like Abus Magomedov punted his face off. Bruno Oliveira landed 2 spinning back elbows. And he was still trying to get up, still trying to fight. So it's gonna take a beating from Rusev to get him out of there. But that's probably the way I would lean. Stolus, if he grows to plus 300 or something like that, then it's getting a little out of hand. I wouldn't lay the chalk on Rusev. I think he probably gets the early knockout. I wouldn't play it at the odds. Stolus, if he can survive, he can make this look interesting. If he can get some grappling going, he can make it look interesting. So maybe that's an angle you want to look at. Cheeto Vera is out versus Mario. Patchy is probably fighting. No, is that really a thing? 23 first-round finishes for Nursultan. Most of those are against bums. His cock stays loaded. Ruzi KO is the play. Very competitive against Buckley, only lost in the promotion. I don't think he wasn't competitive at all against Buckley. Buckley ran through him, but that was at 170. It's at 185. Dustin point spread, play it, maybe. Bet the caveman. Round 1 early, round 2, Rusev KO next fight, we fade him. At some point, the fade on Rusev is going to pay off nicely. Rusev brutally chinned Pinheiro with a simple 1-2 and ground and pound. He did do that. I bet on him in that fight because he was an underdog, but ever since he's been a favorite, except for Buckley. Let's move on. Sadiq Yusuff, Myron Santos. This is one I'm really trying to figure out, and I haven't really figured it out yet. Maybe I won't even figure it out, but I think Sadiq at plus money, it looks nice, but I don't know if it's the right play because Myron Santos is coming off a win where a lot of people are down on him. And a lot of times that's kind of a spot where you can, it's a spot that you can attack because he might be a little bit undervalued in the public eye. He might be undervalued by the sports books. Just look at Mike Malott last week, coming off a win over Trevin Giles. And a lot of people were down on him, including me. And he went out there and he had a good performance, man. He had a great performance. Who's to say Myron Santos doesn't come out here and have the best performance of his life? Does the best performance of his life beat Sodiq Yusuff? I think it very easily could. Very easily could. I think Myron Santos is a very talented striker whose takedown defense, could use some improvements. I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's good enough to deal with Sodiq Yusuff's takedowns, because I don't think Sodiq Yusuff is a guy that's going to be going out there looking for takedowns. He's probably the one that's going to be initiating the grappling, but I don't know that he's going to have a ton of success with it. I mean, Francis Marshall is a solid wrestler, man. Like, he's a solid wrestler. He went down to ATT, got his wrestling even more improved than what it was, and he was able to take him down 3 times, but he didn't do anything with it. Myron Santos didn't take any significant ground strikes. Myron Santos outstruck him. I still think that Francis Marshall should have won the fight, but I also think that it was a close enough fight where a lot of those rounds could have gone to Myron Santos's way. He was landing more significant strikes. I don't think many of them were super impactful, but he was also very good with his defense on the feet. And I think that's probably what it comes down to. Myron Santos' defense on the feet, I think, is better than Sodiq Yusuff's. He's way better at range. I think he controls range a lot better. This is a smaller cage, so maybe it's going to be a little bit tougher, but I think he controls range better. I think his strikes from range are better than Sadiq's. I think his leg kicks are a lot longer, a lot faster. I think his jab is better. Sadiq's a little bit better in the pocket. Sadiq's probably a little bit better of a grappler. But Myron's 7 years old, younger, still improving. So maybe he comes out here with a chip on his shoulder after a poor performance and puts on the best performance of his life. And does the best performance of his life beat Sodiq Yusuff? I think it probably does. So Myron Santos at minus 129. I'm not in love with it right now, but I got to watch some more film and see, how these guys would stack up. I haven't had much time today to watch film. That's usually one of my bigger tape study days. So I'm going to dive in the lab, watch this one a little bit more, but I think Myron Santos probably wins a decision here. Myron Santos plus 160. On the decision, it's not great, but I think both guys are durable enough. Maybe, Myron KO is plus 275. It's not very good, honestly. I don't see Myron as some big knockout puncher. And these guys are moving up to 155. Both guys, I believe, wanted to move up to 155, which is interesting because I don't think they're going to be very big at 155, but they're both ex-featherweights, so at least they're in the same playing field. Yeah, Santos inside the distance plus 250. Not really much that I like here, man. Not really much. Over 2.5 is minus 240. Wow. They're really thinking this one's going to a decision. I think it's Myron Santos is probably going to be the pick for me, but I got to look at it a little bit more. I think he's probably just a little bit cleaner from the outside, better defense. I think he probably wins the decision. But at minus 125, I have to look at it a little bit more. It is a step up in competition, but I do believe in Myron Santos' skill set. So let's take a look at the chats. Love Sadiq as a dog. Both guys are super uncomfortable on the back foot, and Santos will 100% spend the most time there. You're probably right, but I don't think he's uncomfortable on the back foot. I think the pressure could get to him in the smaller cage, though. So maybe 6 years younger wins 60% of the time. Also is a lightweight and semi-short notice for Santos. Sadiq was scheduled at 155 already. Was he actually? Who was he scheduled against? I don't think he was. I don't think he was scheduled at 155. Not showing up on Tapology. I think Santos is returning to featherweight. Maybe. Justice for Francis Marshall. LOL. Enjoy the Apex, brother. Hey. Apex is going to be loud. We're going to be there. We're going to be loud. What up, Ryan? How we doing, brother? Good to see you in the chat. Let's hit up the co-main. We're almost to the main event. Ooh, we might be going 2 hours again. We're yapping today, boys. Rodolfo Bellato taking on Paul Craig. Boys, Bellato at minus 550. call the hotline. Please call the hotline if you're betting Bellato at -550. Because this dude, Bellato, has won his last couple of fights based on grit. This dude is gritty as hell. All right. He is so hittable. So hittable. It's ridiculous. It's like he just wants to take everything you throw at him and wait for you to start to tire out, and then he takes over, which is kind of what happened in like his last 3 fights. But Bellato should KO him here. He should. He should. He should absolutely KO him. Like, there's no reason that these guys should be going to the ground. Is Paul Craig going to land a takedown on Bellato? I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, Paul Craig's takedowns aren't good, and I don't really see Bellato giving up some easy takedown to Paul Craig. Does Paul Craig find a way to make Bellato grapple with him? Maybe. Maybe if Bellato knocks him down and then follows him to the ground and then Paul Craig starts grappling him up, maybe that's the way. But I don't see how Craig gets this fight to the ground outside of Bellato willingly going to the ground. Maybe he's dumb enough to do that, but Bellato should be able to find a KO here. And I could see it being, a standing TKO. I think Bellato's jabs and leg kicks are probably just going to chip away at Paul Craig. Paul Craig's going to be throwing his patented fucking body kick, leg kick. He's going to throw some 1-2s out there, but the dude is just so damn hittable. Like, I'm actually kind of excited to see Paul Craig in the flesh. I'm not even going to lie, because this dude is such a mystical creature to me. Like, Paul Craig is probably one of the most intimidating guys if you were just like around him. Like, big beard. He's 6'3". He's going back up to light heavyweight, so he's pretty big dude. He gives these mean mug looks. And then he gets in the cage, and it's like, all right, bro. You look pretty scary on the walkout, but you're in the cage now, butt scooting. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And he's also got that deep Scottish accent. He's just like a mystical creature to me. But he's 37. He's going back up to 205. So that probably means, he's kind of seeing the end of his career. And he doesn't want to cut as much weight now. And, he's taking his lumps. He's taken his lumps over the past couple of years. And most of those lumps come via knockout. Now, Bo Nickel couldn't knock him out, which is interesting. But Bo Nickel, as we saw, got fraud checked. Kyle Bahalio took him to round 2 to finish Paul Craig. That's the thing about Paul Craig, though. Paul Craig, unless he gets put out cold in round 1, like Johnny Walker got him out in round 1 by literally just hammer fisting his head while he was going on a takedown. If he gets hit, he will find a way to, stall out a little bit, make the fight go a little bit longer, maybe see if you start to gas a little bit, maybe see if you make a mistake following him to the ground. He kind of just weasels his way to extending the fight by butt scooting. Guys don't want to go down to the ground with him. And then eventually they're like, all right, just get back up and let me piece you up a little bit more. And then they win. So that's probably how this fight's going to go. I think Bellato's probably going to knock him out. I could see a late first round knockout or early second round knockout. I think Bellato's leg kicks and jabs are probably going to hurt Paul Craig pretty bad. But Bellato's got to keep this fight on the feet, because if he goes to the ground with Paul Craig, I know Bellato's a pretty solid grappler, but I don't think he's Paul Craig level. I think Paul Craig could probably snatch something up. Let's take a look at the odds. Bellato's -550. Disgusting. Bellato by KO -160. Gross. Bellato round 1 +115. Bellato round 2 +250. Yeah, they're pretty much seeing it as exactly how everyone else is seeing it. I mean, if you could get a round 2 KO number on Bellato at like +450, +500, it's not a bad sprinkle. Under 1.5 -135. It's not bad, honestly. But as I said, Paul Craig has a way to extend fights by butt scooting and killing clock, waiting for you to make a mistake. So, yeah, it's disgusting, man. It's disgusting. It's the co-main event. Kind of disgusting co-main event, but I'm interested to see Paul Craig in the flesh. So hittable, but is Paul Craig even going to hit him? Yeah, I mean, but Bellato, I mean, imagine this. Just imagine this. We come out, right? Let's just imagine this. Picture this. You have a minus 550 Rodolfo Bellato ticket. It's the last leg of your parlay. Bellato comes out. He overswings. He gets hit by a kick from Paul Craig. He falls down. Paul Craig pounces on him. You're over. It's over, man. It's over. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't be playing Bellato minus 550. If you're going to play him by knockout or play him by like KO or decision or something like that. I don't know. Like minus 550 for Bellato is disgusting because he's so hittable. I don't know that he has the best fight IQ. He literally just goes in there and scraps it out. Whatever happens, happens. So I don't know that I really trust this guy. Never apologize for yapping. Fam, your streams and videos are amazing. I'd love to do a live break with you if the opportunity presents itself. Yeah, maybe we'll start getting some guests on here, man. I'm sure it would help the viewers just to not have me yapping, you know? He's definitely dumb enough to do that, but Bellato could finish Craig with any limb he wants to. I think he probably KOs him. I think he's probably going to drop him with leg kicks at some point because Bellato has some nice leg kicks. I think he's going to drop him with leg kicks at some point in this fight. Some point. So much more aggressive and pressure forward than Kyle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Craig by decision by hugging him. That scenario is so likely. Horrible number. It is so likely bad. I mean, Bellato could literally go out there, whiff on a leg kick, and fall down. Like, he could literally do that. All right. Let's go to the main event, boys. The moment we've all been waiting for. The man, the myth himself, Gilbert Burns. Plus 500 over Michael Morales. Now, as you all know, or maybe you don't know, Gilbert Burns, man of home and fight. All right, he's the man of home and fight. He's an OG of the game. Now, some people will get pissed at me because they're going to say I'm biased and all this stuff if I'm rooting for one of the guys that are a part of home and fight. Gilbert Burns, Renato Moicano. They're gonna get pissed because I'm rooting for them. And they're saying that I'm giving out biased information. Now, I always tell people that I have some affiliation with Gilbert Burns and Renato Moicano when I'm breaking down their fights. So just keep that in mind. But I am smart enough to put bias aside. Okay? I can put bias aside. I knew Renato Moicano was probably not going to beat Islam Makhachev. Did I want him to win? Yes. Did I think the line was a little bit interesting? Yes. But ultimately, I didn't really think Renato was going to beat Islam. Some people got pissed at me about that. I don't know why. I literally said it. I'm rooting for the guy because he's part of our team. I'm definitely rooting for Gilbert in this spot. But with my bias aside, I still don't know how you can get to plus 500 for Gilbert Burns over Michael Morales. Like, I have been a Michael Morales truther for a while. Like, I think Michael Morales is super good. He's a physical specimen. He's 6 foot, but he has a 79-inch reach. He has a beautiful jab. He's super physical in there. It's impossible to take this guy down because his hips are so strong. And when he's in the clinch, he's so physical. It's very tough to just come at this guy with like I'm going to big brother you type of style because he's the little bro, but he's the big bro. Like, he's 25, but he's physical as shit and strong as shit. And apparently he has like some Ecuadorian background in wrestling, whatever that means. But we've seen it in MMA, and his defensive wrestling is really good. His offensive wrestling is pretty solid. So I think he's a really solid prospect. But this line just makes no sense to me. Like, for Michael Morales to cover minus 800, it would have to be like a first or second round knockout. It would have to be an absolute blow him out of the water type of thing. And I don't know that he's going to blow out Gilbert Burns in the first or second round. Like, Gilbert Burns doesn't just get ran through. Like, he doesn't do that. Like, Gilbert Burns is a dog in there. He went 3 hard rounds with Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev pretty much threw the kitchen sink at the guy in round 1. And we know Khamzat Chimaev is probably the best first-round fighter in UFC history. Threw the kitchen sink at Gilbert Burns. He weathered it. He came back in round 2, won round 2. Round 3 was very close. Gilbert Burns could have arguably won that fight. Yes, that was what, 4 years ago? It had to be 4 years ago. 3 years ago? 3 years ago. So not 4. It's 3 years ago. So, that's obviously a different version of Gilbert when he was 35 compared to 38. But since then, he got a couple wins. He was in line for a possible title shot had he beaten Bilal Muhammad. He loses to Bilal Muhammad, hurts his shoulder, a bad shoulder injury, which kept him out for almost a year, about 10 months. So he hurts his shoulder against Bilal. Not good for his career considering what his age is at. But he loses to Bilal. Bilal becomes champion. He fights Jack Della Maddalena, has a great performance, is about to beat JDM as an underdog, and then gets TKO'd with a minute 30 left. So that's tough. That's really tough. He's on back-to-back losses. Then he's got to fight Sean Brady. So he's lost to Bilal, the champion, lost to Jack Della, the current champion, and then he fights Sean Brady. And I'll be honest, I thought he looked terrible in that fight. I thought he looked terrible, and I thought Sean Brady pretty much did whatever he wanted to in that fight. But Gilbert even said himself after that fight, he didn't, there was something off with him. He didn't feel right. And we could tell when we were watching that fight against Sean, he did not look right. But I also think Sean Brady is just almost a nightmare matchup for the guy. Are you going to have grappling success against Sean Brady? Probably not. Sean Brady's probably the best grappler in the welterweight division. So you're not really going to have a lot of grappling success against Sean Brady. And Sean Brady's striking looked on another level in that fight. And I think Sean Brady's striking has really come along. So those are his last 3 losses, man. Those are his last 3 losses. And you look at the odds in those losses, Gilbert Burns was plus 160 to Sean Brady, who I think will become champion within a year or two. Jack Della, he was plus 135, is the current champion. And against Bilal Muhammad, he was a minus 150 favorite. So he's not really getting counted out in any of these fights. At least, the books are saying it's going to be competitive. And now he's plus 520 against Michael Morales. How is Michael Morales the second coming of Jesus here? Michael Morales is a great prospect, undefeated guy, but his best win is Neil Magny. It's a round 1 finish over Neil Magny. Cool. Other than that, who is he beating? Jake Matthews? He beat Jake Matthews, but he was minus 300 against Jake Matthews. He wasn't minus 1,000 against Jake Matthews. He was minus 300. He was minus 250 over Max Griffin. And Max Griffin took a round off of him. Max Griffin won a round on Michael Morales. Max Griffin, who was he was probably 38 at the time. Adam Fugit, Trevin Giles. Let's just think about this, man. Michael Morales was a plus 200 underdog over Nikolay Veretennikov in the Dana White Contender Series. A plus 200 underdog. We know who Nikolay Veretennikov is. The guy that came into the UFC, lost to Danny Barlow, and then just lost to Austin Vanderford. Got some TKO'd in the second round or third round. He was an underdog to that guy. I guess, people didn't know who he was. And it looks like this guy has made some nice improvements. He trains at Entram Gym. It's cool. But the line is just crazy, man. It is crazy. I would favor Michael Morales in this matchup. I would say Michael Morales should be minus 200. I think that's cool. But minus 820 makes no sense to me, man. Absolutely no sense. Over under 3.5. I think the fight could probably play out to go to a decision at plus 180. I don't see Morales running through Gilbert, and I don't see Gilbert running through Morales. I think it's going to be a competitive fight where I think it could go to a decision. Fight to go to decision at plus 180 looks decent. Over 3.5 looks decent. I just don't know that Michael Morales is just going to come in here and blow through him. Gilbert's got too much experience, too many ways to, survive in the fight. Let's say Morales takes him down. Is he going to ground and pound him out from guard? No. Like, is Gilbert going to take down Morales and sub him right away? I doubt it. I think this is a fight that could extend later. Plus 180 on fight to go to decision. Not bad. Not bad. Morales by decision plus 200. Burns by decision is plus 1,000. That's insane. That's insane. The problem with Gilbert, though, is, he has a tough time winning rounds without grappling success, just because I don't think he's not a striker that is going to be able to, pop and move, pop and move, pop and move. And at 38 years old, I don't know that I could really trust him to do that. He did a decent job against JDM at kind of doing that and then mixing in the takedowns, and that's how he was winning some of those rounds. But even those rounds were really close. So, Morales probably going to be the minute winner here, but we also don't know what his cardio looks like. He's had rounds taken off him before. It's a very tough line to get interested at, because outright pick, do I pick Gilbert Burns to win this fight? Probably not. But considering the odds are the way that they are at plus 570, it's like, it's almost a no-brainer. Like, it's a dog or pass. Like, I'm not playing Morales at minus 820. It makes no sense. And I don't think Gilbert's like taking this lightly, man. Like, he's in great shape. If you saw him on the Show Me the Money podcast, he's been locked in as well. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe we'll find out. I don't know. Minus 850 is wild facts. What's up, bro? Just came to say I was so wrong on that JDM versus Bilal fight. You called that shit. Hey, at least you came to say you were wrong. Some people would probably just hide, but Sergio, respect for saying that you were wrong. Hey, Jive, do you think O'Malley will be able to get offense off on Marab, or will it be a repeat of last fight? Probably a repeat of last fight, bro. I hope Burns wins. I hope he does too. All bro did was finish Magny. Yeah, that's facts. Caught the under 3.5 for minus 105. I'll sit on that slip in this fight. Another crazy chalk line. Della was as low as plus 250. Burns plus 575 on DK. Only natural to root for your fighter. Anyone that doesn't get that is weird. Gilbert is up against the wall for sure, but anyone that bets Morales at minus 800 is out of their mind. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know who's betting Michael Morales, man. Who's out there betting Michael Morales at minus 800? Doesn't make any sense. What am I missing? As much as I love Gilbert, you just can't pick him here, bro. The line is wide and is terrible, but the fight just isn't a good matchup for Gilbert. You also said yourself, the new age of welterweight is here. It's true. It's very true. Like, that's why I said, straight up pick, who do I think will probably win the fight? I think Michael Morales should be favored. I think he should be about minus 200 or so. But the line is not minus 200. Like, he's minus 820. So it just doesn't make any sense to put money on Michael Morales. It makes a lot of sense to put money at Gilbert Burns at plus 570, man. Like, I don't think it's going to be a one-way street for Michael Morales in this fight. Gilbert path to victory versus Morales, gassed out to a TKO or decision. It's going to be a hell of a fight. Going to bust a lot of parlays. I don't know, man. Like, if you're throwing minus 800 in your parlay, you're probably not the sharpest better. You probably shouldn't be parlaying minus 800s in any scenario. Doesn't matter the opponent or the matchup. Minus 800 in any scenario doesn't really make any sense to throw in your parlays. All right, boys. I think we're going to cut it there. I mean, we had a solid breakdown. We're almost at an hour 45. I'm getting tired. I got to get some fluids in my body. Hit some lab sessions. Watch some tape. Get some stuff done. I appreciate y'all for joining. Thank you to those that were able to watch the entire stream. If you joined late, or if you're weren't able to follow along for the whole stream, appreciate you for taking some time out of your day to watch the show. We'll be back here with the official picks tomorrow. Put that together for you. The gun to your head. Cartel is waterboarding you type of picks. We got the best bets video out soon. This Saturday, I'll be at the Apex, so it should be a fun time. We'll see how that goes. I'm interested to see what the atmosphere is like. It might be just crickets, but I want to see what it looks like, man. And we're going to be cheering our boy Gilbert Burns on very heavily. But we out of here, boys. Appreciate y'all. Until next time, hey, Job Picks. We out.